Hello everybody, how are you doing today? I know I was going to call it a day, but I felt like doing an update on Bitcoin because it's been on my mind, and sometimes when my mind is full of Bitcoin, I just simply cannot take a break from it. So it's now Saturday, March the 10th. It's about 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, and the daily candle has successfully closed. When I mean successfully closed, I don't mean with good news whatsoever, but I just mean that it's closed in general. Okay, so let's review what has been going on. In my previous video, I was referring to these specific series of rejections at the $9,500 range. If you guys caught that video of mine, you probably saved yourself a few $100 because we ended up downtrending about $700 in the past 3-4 hours, or over 3-4 hours actually. And now we're starting to slightly stabilize, but the point of this video is to see what could actually end up happening. So in my previous video, I was mentioning that we were getting a series of rejections at the $9,500 range, right? And because we've attempted, specifically this one right here, and these two right here, okay? So the bulls made a massive attempt where we got a shooting star right here, right? And then we downtrended to about 9,200 prior day. And then we just slightly consolidated here for a sideways trend for a few hours. And then we made one last attempt to the 9,500 range. And it was in the lower time frames that started to give it away. Let me show you guys. On the lower time frames right here, where we're getting a series of lower lows actually. So this shooting star with a tweezer type top and a bearish spinning top was very indicative. And I think that as soon as this candle formed right here with a slight shooting star there, well, that's where the downtrend started to happen right away. Not only that, we were actually losing steam, right? We were not losing steam, but usually what happens with RSI is if you simply cannot break to a higher and bullish RSI zone, this is exactly what happens, guys, right? So in order for us to be considered in a very bullish zone, we got to break 60 according to Brown Cadence's RSI rules. So a bullish zone would be considered about 40 and up, well up, right? But if we are considered in a bearish zone, that would be about 60 and well below. And the neutral zone would basically be between 30 and, or sorry, yeah, around 30 and 60 you can say, or 35 and 65 around here. So right now we're more in a neutral to bearish territory rather than a bullish territory. And because we simply just could not. Do you guys remember my 55 EMA moving strategy? That's incredibly important to remember that strategy because I refer to it a lot, all right? Yes, we did break above the 55 EMA 24 hours ago, but we simply could not fan out to the point where we started parabolically moving up. And that's a very important distinguishment to make, right? As soon as we broke above it, we started getting punctures below the 55 EMA already. And because of that, it was indicative of a very weak uptrend in general. Now, where is this Elliot wave count? It's impossible, guys. I simply cannot count it at all right now. It's a very difficult count, and regardless of how I try to count it, I just end up back at square one. So let's talk about trend line analysis instead then. So the way I've been drawing my trend lines is something like this right here, okay? Now, I know there's many different ways to draw it. So I've been drawing it like this. And are we actually going to get a break below it? Now let's say I draw in the log scale, which people have suggested, and I'll definitely take that into account, right? We're going to consider, hey, that's the top right there. That's a major trendline resistance. Now, which is the more relevant way to draw it? Personally, myself, I use log only on weekly charts, for example, on very, very high time frames. To me, over the course of only 3 months, it almost doesn't make sense to use a log, right? So this is how I've been drawing it thus far, and it's actually been working perfect, right? So if I actually draw my charts like this, touching from the top of the body, it actually allowed me to pinpoint right here with precision before. So now if I all of a sudden start to alter it, it's going to be not to my liking whatsoever. So actually that's not even the good way to draw it in my opinion anymore. It'd probably be more so something like that where we consider some bull traps, right? That would be a bull trap right there where a shooting star closed above it, but we ended up downtrending right back into it. So the way that I'm seeing these support lines drawn right now with the trend line, it's very subjective in my opinion as well. Some people would say, yeah, we punctured it before already. So I'm going to leave that up to you guys to decide how you're wanting to draw it, okay? So let's take a look at a different type of analysis as well with trendline analysis. What we see right here from February 6th, when the downtrend began, all the way to the highest peak right here. Now, this is a very, very relevant number, guys. I believe that we could possibly downtrend to $8,200. Is it possible? Absolutely. Why? Because that's exactly where the 618 Fibonacci level is. That's a very powerful number right now. If we broke below $8,200, guys, I think we're going to be in a lot of trouble. I mean, maybe 8,000 with just a wick, but barely. But other than that, I'd be pretty terrified if we broke well below it. So this trend line right here doesn't really help me whatsoever, right? What I see right here is that apparently we broke below it already, right? It really depends on how you draw it. It's so subjective right now. Are we going to draw it to the point where we're including some wicks, some bodies as well, right? Maybe we consider some of this a little bit of a bull trap here as well, a bull trap, a major bull trap. Are we going to keep adjusting these trend lines until it actually fits the criteria of what we want? So that's why with trend lines right now, it is so subjective to me. I mean, the best way to possibly draw it, in my opinion, is to consider some of these wicks that are poking below it, right? So now if we drew it that way, what we see is a fairly hard support at about 8,400. So let's say we ended up drawing it from a log scale instead, right? We drew from the log scale, and I'll get this very, very high up so you guys can see it over here. If I drew it according to the log scale, then we were easily able to identify this peak right here, right? But you weren't able to identify this peak, remember? I was able to identify this peak around 11,750 because I did not draw it in a log scale, whereas others were able to identify this peak because of the log scale as well. So which is the better way to draw it? And that's very, very subjective, if you guys can see the dilemma there, right? So let's just say I stayed consistent and I took it off of log scale. I drew it to the highest peak right here, took into account the highest peak there as well. Roughly right here, we've officially downtrended back into this channel already. Now, let's say I consider some bull traps like I did before, right here, right? Consider some bull traps. And voila, bull trap region, bull trapped, a little bit of a bull trap region as well, where we broke back right into it. And then we take into account, hey, only the wicks actually poke through in this region right here. Well, that fits our criteria as well, right? So you guys see the dilemma of this trend line, right? So the best way to do it, in my opinion, is just delete it. Entirely delete it, okay? And go by price action right now. So we're clearly about to break lower than here. This was a very relevant area. See the 86, 8,700 right here? Right around here, 8,700 range. And we're breaking below it already. Now the question is, are we going to get to the 83, 8,400 ranges and get a massive rejection as well? Very interesting question to ask. Let's say we change this moving average now to the 200. What do we get? I'm not sure why my moving average actually does that on the 4 hour, for example. It's really odd. I don't think it's supposed to be like that, the 200. I've got no idea why moving average. Yeah, the moving average should be well below, lower than that. It's so weird. I don't understand that. I'm gonna try to change one of these guys actually. Whoops. I'm not really sure why it's doing that. I don't think the 200 moving average is supposed to... Actually, it could be very well be it. It could be just me right now. I'm expecting the 200 moving average to be below it for some reason, acting as a support. So it's most likely just me assuming wrong for some... I have no idea why I think that. Just ignore that statement for a moment there. I'm just changing my lines back to over here. So where do I think that we're going to fall to, guys? I think we're going to fall to anywhere between 8,400 and 8200. That's as simple as that. So we couldn't really take our Fibonacci retracement from here simply because this wave right here, it seems like it's part of a corrective wave as well still. So the best way to be taking our Fibonacci right now is, I think, from all the way here, from where the $6,000 region was, okay, $6,000, and we're going to be targeting pretty much 8200. And I think at 8200 we're going to bounce pretty hard. But keep in mind that we may not always get there, right? We may not even get there at all. We never know. Maybe this region right here will end up acting as a hard support, just kind of slightly up over here, right? So my target, guys, is honestly to go fairly big. I think a lot of people are in the same boat right now. I hear that a lot of the short futures contracts are actually ending tomorrow, and a lot of big players are getting ready to enter above 8200. But then again, these could just be rumors, right? And we don't know what's actually true and what's not. Never know whatsoever. The only thing we can really do right now is just assume, guys. Assume that there's going to be a bounce at the 618 Fibonacci number. I think the whole market is waiting for this specific price right now to start entering. I know all the bigger guys on YouTube right now and on Twitter, they're waiting for this specific number as well to enter. Right around these regions. Right over here. Lots of activity in this region over here, if you guys can see, right? This cluster range is between 8,000 to 8,400. Well, why would it not make sense for it to bounce at 8,200 as well? So I'm pretty hopeful that this is not a failed impulse wave, and that this fifth wave just happened to be, perhaps this is ABC, right? If we actually go back and draw it, is this waves 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5? Because if it is, then we would assume that this is the bullish count right here, where that's an ABC, that's very extended. So this is a very bullish count that could possibly fall anywhere from where it is now to 8200. So it's up to you guys to decide where to enter. Make sure you understand that laddering is extremely important. We have to get the best dollar cost average, right? So if that was the bullish count, awesome. If this was the bearish count right here, where we go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, okay, well, where's ABC? Where the heck is ABC right here, all right? Is that A and B and then C, where we're going to get a massive correction to the downside, where that's A, B, and we're going to get another one-to-one extension to 7,800 right here? So which count is actually valid? We have absolutely no idea right now. And it's just kind of a guess in the dark right now to see which count is more accurate. That's why sometimes you got to remember that we have a lot of tools at our disposal to do technical analysis, and not every time, not a single tool or indicator will be better to use as a gauge than every other at specific times. Sometimes we have to use the best to our knowledge and to our experience as we can to do these types of technical analysis. Does that make sense? I guess what I'm saying is, to summarize, is Elliott wave is not always 100% reliable. We use it as a tool to assist us with entering and finding our entries and exits, but it's still a tool nevertheless. And there are a lot of other indicators that can be used in better circumstances as well. When you combine it with Elliott wave, then you get a higher probability of figuring out where to enter. So right now, guys, I'm banking on it. I'm honestly banking on it pretty hard to bounce between 8,200, say, and about 8,400. Because I'm saying 8,400 because of this, okay? Because I'm taking into some account like that, right? So, you know, if we look a little bit lower, well, that's clearly around the 8,400 region as well, right? So everybody who's looking at it with this specific type of slope trend line, everyone's hoping for a bounce that's going to be above this trend line resistance right here. So let's say that it worked out like that, and that's where a wave 2 is, and then we start making new higher highs for our wave 3 that begins. So where do you guys stand? Let me know your thoughts. I really want to know where your thoughts are with where you guys stand as well, and what you guys think the support is. But if you guys actually want to talk charts, make sure you've got charts, okay? There's no point of having a conversation with simply words where you're trying to describe exactly your thoughts. Doesn't work like that, guys. If you guys want to converse in this type of setting, you don't speak with your words, you speak with your charts, right? That's why a lot of the times on Twitter or YouTube, I have a hard time wanting to respond to the kind of questions that are verbal rather than visual. Keep in mind that chart, it paints 10,000 words, right? So these charts are definitely going to help you convey your message a lot better. So I'm 100% betting on it bouncing anytime between, say, 8,200 to 8,400. I will be golden. My friends are all waiting for the same thing as well. If we don't bounce between here, then we're going to get a much more bearish sentiment, guys. Assuming that this slope trend line is the way to properly draw it. If we don't bounce, guys, above, 8,200, it's going to be a really scary thing, because we'll end up getting down to the 7,242 region. And if we get down to these 7K regions again, all bullish sentiment will be lost. Does that make sense? The lower we get, the higher of a probability we have of breaking this 6K region and entering a very much longer term bear market. So let's go over some indicators as well right now, okay? On the 12-hour chart, we're actually double bottoming, guys. We're double bottoming right now. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not guaranteeing in any way that's going to get to 82 to 84. I'm simply stating a fact that that's a very relevant place to be interested in. It is up to you guys to ensure where a proper buy-in is. Just because we say it's a support region doesn't mean that it's always going to test it, nor does it mean that it's going to get there, right? So we do see a double bounce sort of happening right now on the 12-hour chart. Let's look on the 6-hour chart. We're just seeing red candles, guys. Tons of red candles. And in situations like this, I wish I knew what Tony Vades knew, which is TD sequential, right? I'd love to. You know what? I got to reach out to that guy. I want to pay him for some private lessons. Like, I want to expand my trading to the whole new level. I feel Elliot Wave is really good, but when it fails on me, right, I'm left to do a very different type of technical analysis, which I'm very comfortable with doing, and I've done it for a very long time and have found fairly good success with it, right? But I think it's time to broaden my view of technical analysis and see what else I can bring to the table. So I think, yeah, I will be contacting Tony Vades. I respect that guy so much. Despite him not respecting Elliot Wave, or not respecting it, but despite him not using it as one of his tools, I know for a fact that he respects a lot of other ways of trading as well. It's just what a professional trader like him would do. So if we look here on the 4-hour chart, right? Yeah, we got a series. It came down. It came parabolically moving down like that, which was ridiculous, right? Now we're curving upwards. Now, are we going to keep curving upwards to move up? So that's a big question on the RSI as well. On the 3-hour chart, it looks like it's just about to come down. Looks like it's about to snap to come down. Negative histogram as well. It just can't maintain any type of bullish momentum. On the 2-hour chart, or the 1-hour chart, right, we've had some nasty lows before. If you guys take a look, these were the previous lows, right, with the RSI support. Is it possible for us, since March 6th, we hit it once, twice, thrice, is it possible for us to actually go down to these regions again of 80 RSI? It's only at 31 right now. It's not even close to becoming oversold yet. On the 45-minute chart as well, we got some really low RSI where it reached all the way to the 20s. Right now, we're at 27. Excuse me there. I'm just going to reload this page. I don't know why it does this sometimes. It's actually really irritating. Okay, sorry about that, everybody. So on the 45-minute chart, right, I was saying that it reached much lower RSI before. It reached around the 20 ranges, and right now we're at about 27. So we still have a long ways to go on a high time frame, or a low time frame rather. If we look on the BTC 30-minute chart, this was clearly where the RSI support was, 17.5. We're at 26.62. This doesn't mean it's always going to bounce off of there again, but that's where basically the RSI support is, right? And that's very important to make note of. If we take a look at the RSI on the 15-minute chart even, yeah, I mean, we've gone really low, guys, for that one on the 15-minute. We're not even close to anything near there yet right now as well. 22, where we got to, we're at 27, where we got to 22 before. Now earlier I thought that I saw a series of bullish supporting candles, but the volume simply doesn't dictate it, right? these two right here could have easily been mistaken for a support candle. And definitely, I thought that too, guys, where we got a doji on a 1 hour, followed by a series of wicks rejecting to create kind of like tweezer bottoms, right? So on the 2 hour chart, candlestick wise, some people might have mistaken that for, despite it being red, some people would say, oh yeah, that's a doji. But myself, I'm a very cautious trader. It takes a lot to convince me of a stable support. Like here, that was stable support where I was suggesting for people to enter around the 83, 8500 range, and that was a very safe combination. But right now, guys, we don't see any combination of a solid support other than this trend line that's been going down that I drew like that in a non-log scale. So is this support trend line going to hold, if that was even a support trend line? Right, we've got to be asking ourselves many questions. Is this an actual support? Did I draw it right as well? Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. We'll find out very soon. Since I've made this video, we've actually downticked about $200 already from 87.50, right? So I do believe that this is going to be a very relevant zone around $8,200 to $8,400. And I think a lot of people are going to end up rushing to buy in when it gets to anywhere between 82 to 84. Because once again, that's the golden ratio right here for Fibonacci. So as it stands, I think we've gone through every single technical indicator. We've gone through just general trend line supports and resistances as well. We've gone over some possible targets that it could hit, combined with moving averages as well. I mean, on the 5-minute chart, with like just even looking at a 5-minute chart, which I normally don't even do my technical analysis, but we clearly see this right here. Do you guys agree with me? Make sure you note this. I've been able to nail many targets, and also has suggested when to buy into strength, because we got to make note of the small time frames that could possibly ride onto the higher time frames, right? So let's just say that we end up breaking this RSI support on the 5-minute chart, and it has held as support ever since for the past 5-6 hours actually. So for the past 5-6 hours, awesome. It held as resistance rather. Now if we actually end up breaking above this resistance right here on a 5-minute chart, well, that's gonna it's not guaranteed, but it's gonna at least give us a little bit more hope that we're getting to higher RSIs than we've gotten in the past, how long? In the past 6-7 hours, right? Well, this one was at around 1 p.m. my time, so about 5 hours. So we're also seeing RSI support on a 5-minute chart around here as well. So until we break much lower than that, that'll guarantee a pretty big downtrend. But if we go upwards right here as well, right? And we break around the 60 range, or actually it's not 60, it's 55 right here. Not even 55, it's 50. We can't even break above 50 RSI right now on a 5-minute time frame. So yeah, we're still seeing a lot of bearish pressure to come down. But please keep in mind my targets of between 8,200 and 8,400. And that's my quick thoughts for Bitcoin. If you guys appreciate these videos that I'm making, please like, subscribe, and share it as well. If you guys absolutely think I'm killing it and I've helped you in one way or another make an immense profit, you guys are welcome to donate to Luna's cryptocurrency piggy bank. You guys know how much she loves her alcohol, guys. And she loves it when people buys her a drink or 2 or 10 or a 2.6 or a 13, whatever. But don't ever feel obligated. I only say that, like, you guys know me, I only say that like once every 10 videos if I ever remember. But other than that, yeah, I hope you guys have a great day. Just to follow up on Litecoin really quickly before I end it, right? I mentioned earlier, someone asked me if I think it's going to hold the Fibonacci level, right? And I told them, no, it's probably not going to hold this Fibonacci of 176 because I expect Bitcoin to correct further. So if you're following Litecoin, guys, we're almost in that golden pocket right around the 170, 171 range. So please keep a very good eye on it, right? If we fall to this golden pocket 171, I think that a lot of buyers are actually going to end up rushing in. So that's it, guys. Those are my thoughts for Bitcoin. I hope you guys have remained extremely cautious. I hope that my previous videos as well has helped you guys in one way or another be very cautious, because I think that $9,500 video, when it was still 9,300, it was golden because it probably saved you guys from a lot of things, right? So here we go. Litecoin has fell right into my zone of buying right here. So I'm gonna end this video. I'm probably gonna go start laddering my buys and see how it goes. But always keep in mind as well for Litecoin that we could fall down, guys. And if we do fall down, we're gonna see the 166 range So there you guys go. Those are my thoughts for Bitcoin and on Litecoin as well. Please make sure you guys are staying extremely cautious and keep your eye out for those regions that I mentioned earlier. Have yourselves a great day, traders, and thank you very much for watching my videos as always. Bye now.